safe than sorry. And it's interesting how that happens. Like, you had no problem finding the article, and while I've been helping research all this, it's like, it's amazing when that happens. Things just fall into place, and it's like, oh, look, it's, it's right there. It's almost like you're meant to find it. And then there's times where you're just like spinning your wheels on the internet, and it's just like going through pages and pages and pages, and I can't find it. Like, I bet you anything, if I had come across that article, like, I would have been able to find downloadable PDFs of it. Like, it's something that seemed to be specific to you finding it at that time, and then being able to search it out and get it so easily. Whereas I bet you if somebody else had tried to do it, it wouldn't have worked that way.
Well, it's somewhere in the archive. I honestly haven't heard from Dave at all. It was one of those, I sent it up. I sent him a box of stuff, and he talked about like 2 things that were in the box that were near the top of the box and nothing that was at the bottom. And at the bottom, I sent him a copy of Scarlet, the official authorized sequel to Gone with the Wind, authorized by the Margaret Mitchell estate, and a copy of The Wind Done Gone, the parody Gone with the Wind, written by, I forget her name. And it's one of those, both authors' initials are AR, and I believe one of them is Alexandria. And I'm like
Alexandria Ripley.
Yeah, I put a note, a letter to the Service Archive saying I'm sending these along, and then in parentheses in the letter I said I make no connection whatsoever to the fact that both authoresses have AR as their initials. One of them even has Alex in it. And then in the copy of The Wind Done Gone, I included the original article. It's I think it's George Will wrote. It was some column I came across in a newspaper, and it's George Will talking about the court case that the Margaret Mitchell estate brought against the author of The Wind Done Gone, and the court finding it's an authorized parody and it's legal and they can't sue. And I read the article, and I saved the article for for the parody and fair use stuff, but I was talking to my aunt about it, and that year at Christmas, I opened up my Christmas present. It was a copy of The Wind Done Gone. She ran across it and went, "Here you go, you can have this." And I never read it. I put it on a shelf. I was going to get to it, and then Dave started talking about Margaret Mitchell and Gone with the Wind, and I'm like, I wonder if Dave's seen this book. So I'll send it to him. And I kind of procrastinated. And then I was out at a rummage sale, and it was the last day of the rummage sale, and I found a copy of a first edition copy of Scarlet for $1, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy this for Dave and mail it to him. He's kind of into Margaret Mitchell right now. It was one of those. He just brought that into Glamourpuss, so I didn't know how far deep the rabbit hole was. And okay, I'll buy this for Dave, and I get up to pay for it, and I'm like, oh, it's half off today, so it's 50 cents. So I'm like, all right, a first print copy of a book that's probably going to turn out to be important to Dave eventually. 50 cents, yeah, sure, just buy it and go. And so yeah, Dave hasn't said anything to me like, oh yeah, thanks for sending these in. Like, either he was already aware of it or it's just further down the rabbit hole. Because I've asked him, how deep are you going with this? And he goes, it never ends.
One of the reasons why he probably didn't respond to you about those books is because I have just been burying him in Margaret Mitchell stuff over the last few years. Like you would not believe. Like, there is a part of me that is feeling like very, 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 very guilty about this, because I don't think. Yeah, there's interesting parts to it, and she does factor into it in a big way. But it's not about her. And I kind of, when I started pulling on this thread, I started finding so many things, and I just started sending him so much stuff. And you get really worked up. You get all this enthusiasm about it. But within that enthusiasm, you have a tendency to send a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily pertinent, or maybe it's just you think, oh yeah, he could use this, and it's like, it's a one-man operation here pretty much, and he's got a lot to do. So it's like, I've probably given him more Margaret Mitchell than he ever needs. And I remember one time when he had finally kind of come to the end of the Margaret Mitchell stuff, he was like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here, thank you, it's not you, it's me, to Margaret Mitchell, hypothetically. It's like, that's it, no more. And then he's okay, I think he's doing this to get back at me, but I could be wrong. And it's like, I thought we were done with Margaret Mitchell. No more Margaret Mitchell. Enough Margaret Mitchell. And then I made that amazing discovery, which I posted to Patreon, about the Raymond and Drake name connection in the Margaret Mitchell Encyclopedia. So it's like, you don't know. You're kind of flailing in all of this, and then you just kind of have to trust your instincts. But with him, I think usually if he's got something and he's found something useful out of it, like, he knows pretty much, he's got good instincts for where the story is. And I think he can usually tell pretty quickly whether or not something is, how important something is going to be to the work. Like the AR initial thing, I completely missed that connection. But I did make the connection that her last name is Ripley, which is like Rip, which is like Rip Kirby. So
that was the other half.
Weird connection. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I said that was the other half. And now that you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that being part of it too. Was that one of them's got Alex in her name, the other one has Rip, and I'm like, that you look at it, you're like, there's something there, and it might be something small, but doesn't feel like it's something small. And
yeah, and then you pull on it, and it just opens up a whole bunch of new things, and you're like, okay, where does this lead to? And sometimes it doesn't lead to anything. That's the problem. Like, sometimes you get discouraged, and you're like looking for something, and you're like, okay, I think this is the right path I'm on, but it's like, I'm not finding anything related to what I would expect to find. So that's why I'm pleasantly surprised that you're able to find that Stan Drake interview so quickly and easily. Like, and speaking of Alex Raymond too in it, that's a big thing. Like, how often did he actually bring up Alex Raymond in his interviews over the years, especially when talking about art? Was that a common thing he did? Was it not so common? I mean, I just don't know.
Well, and that's going back to Glamour Puss. That was kind of one of Dave's hypotheticals that we're never going to get the real answer to, is how close were these two guys? They were rivals, but were they also, was it a friendly rivalry, or was it a was it constant one-upmanship between the two of them? I mean, the Stan Drake article implies that Alex Raymond said to me. Well, did he say it to you, Stan, or did he say it a lot and you heard him say it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and don't forget, Stan Drake was a big-time embellisher, and he was quite the storyteller. So you don't always know what he's saying is necessarily the truth, or how much you can take it at face value.
Yeah, and it's one of those, I got the scans, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to save the however many pages of Stan stuff, make them into JPEGs that I can fax up to Dave, because that's the other one that, it's really weird, because last time I talked to Dave, he was saying, I said I sent him a fax, and in the fax I sent an image that I'm sure it's going to look like mud, because I know how fax machines work. And he's like, it's really weird, Matt, when you fax something, it comes through almost as a grayscale. Everybody else, it turns to mud. And I'm like, I don't know how this works. I don't know what I'm doing. If it's something, I'm formatting things quote-unquote wrong and they work better, or if it's just his fax machine likes me. And so when I'm sending the scans, I'm just kind of, I'm reading this, but I'm not reading it type thing. I'm just kind of skimming it. And then I saw Alex Raymond. I'm like, wait, what? And I back up and I read it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I definitely have to fax this to Dave today. Like, normally I would wait, because I think it was even a Sunday when I sent it to him. And normally I would wait until, okay, I'll wait till Monday. I'm not going to disturb him on his day off type thing. I'm like, nah, this is just weird enough. I need to send it now.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, not just the Alex Raymond part, but the part that he talks about his technique. And the other thing is how quickly he does a strip. Like, I knew that was the part Carson was probably going to glom onto, which was the fact that he talks about how he just, how his process and his method is for working, but also just how quickly he can get them done. And it's like, Stan Drake can draw that fast, that good. Like, it's just unbelievable.
Which, it might be unbelievable. Like, it might have been one of those, Alex Raymond saying, oh yeah, I'm 6 weeks ahead on my strip, and Drake looking at him like, "What are you crazy? Nobody's that far ahead in their strip." And I'm going, and that was one of the things that rung a bell. Like, is this Stan's saying, "Oh yeah, I can get a strip done this fast." Well, really, Stan, or is this one of those yeah, this one day, this one strip, I was in and out before lunch, and twisting the story so, oh yeah, every day is like that. I don't anguish at the boards all day ever. I mean, and that's it goes back to what you said, that he was a fantastic storyteller. So, was it a story or was it real?
I just briefly talked to Carson about it, and I said it reminds me of the story of someone saying that they watched him do the hair on Juliette Jones or on Eve, and it was like, yeah, he just whipped it out and that was it, and it was like, that's it, like, I can't compete with this guy. And I think Carson said it was Russ Heath, and I'm pretty sure it was Russ Heath who saw Stan Drake work, and it's like he because a lot of Juliette Jones was known for the way he drew the hair on the women, and it's like it was apparently a big part of his style was drawing women's hair accurately in the right way. And when he saw him do it that way, it was like, that's it? That's all it takes for you to do that? Like, that's incredible. So, and a lot of those guys, don't forget, this cartooning gig might have been secondary to them wanting to just go and play golf,
Well, the number of golf jokes in the article, it's only like, 7 pages, and I think there were at least 5 or 6 of them. And I'm going, I think it was one of these, because he says at the beginning, well, you can't teach penciling in 10 days. And I'm thinking, you can't teach penciling in 10 pages. And I'm going, it's okay. They said to you, hey, keep it to 10 pages, and describe your technique. And of course, immediately it's, well, here's a golf joke. Here's another golf. I'm like, was he on his way to the course when he went, oh yeah, I have this deadline?
You can tell where his priorities were, what his mind was on.
Well, I freely admit, when I draw the strips for these, if I'm working more than an hour, I did something wrong in my life. I'm very much the Ernest Hemingway of cartooning of, okay, it's been an hour, we're done.
Matt, put down the gun.
Not that way.
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure, Matt. I need all the help I can get. And trust me, you're definitely on that list of the top 5 people I need around to help me out.
Okay, not a problem. I mean, that's, it's very much the Legion of Substitute Wise Fellows at this point of, whatever you need, we'll see what we can do.
Well, yeah, and I'm one of them right now, so that's exactly what it's like. What was I going to say? What you just said about if it takes you longer than an hour to do one, you're doing something wrong. It's funny, Dave's got these quotes that he always used to put in the front of Cerebus in the note from the president about, and I think they stick out on a lot of people's minds, especially the ones about how to become a cartoonist and self-publisher. And there was that one quote he said, which was, first you get good, then you get fast, then you get good and fast. I think that's the way it was.
That is the exact quote. Because when I train somebody at work, the boss will come by and say, how are they doing? I'm like, well, first we get good, then we get fast, then we get good and fast. We're still working on good, or we're still working on fast. I've said that probably 3,000 times in the past 7 years.
And it's funny because I'm sure we're not the only ones that are doing that at work. Like the one I do at work, because there's a lot of bureaucratic stuff I have to work with, is if the term steering committee ever comes up, right? I'm like, we don't need a steering committee. We need a everyone get out and push committee.
Yeah.
Every time I say it, it's like everybody cracks up.
That's at work. We're behind, and I was talking that it's a family business that the owner retired and passed it on to his kids, and he's got like 6 kids, and he's got 1 son and 5 daughters, and all their husbands work for the company, and the lowest on the totem pole son-in-law will come by and talk to me, and I've told him multiple times, hey, I'm not on the steering committee, I'm on the everybody get out and push committee. What do we got to do to get this company going where we need to go? That's all. And I've said that. That's another Daveism that I've dropped many times. because it is a classically perfect, any organization you're in, there's going to be that one guy of, okay, I'm on the steering committee, this is the direction we're going. It's like, yeah, just quit steering into the ditch. We're in the back pushing.